So, hey, it's great to be here. Always enjoy hanging out here on Monday nights and spending some time with you guys. And, man, I thought this subject, when Will and Mary Beth asked me to talk on, it was something I was really excited about because over the past year, I've had to do some major work with this idea of baptism. I completely redid our Kids Rock baptism packet recently to help our families walk through that process with their kids, and what's that look like and how's that function. So when we were able to bring this into this room, I was like, man, this is gonna be great because there is so much to learn about baptism, as we'll talk about here in just a little bit. But recently, I have been doing a lot of thinking about what the next phase of my life looks like. The reality is I'm about to turn 29 years old next month, and I'm gonna cry, I promise. I cried at 26. Like 25 wasn't bad. 26 was brutal, all right? And then I'm about to have my 6-year anniversary with my wife. Yeah. Woo! She survived 6 years, it's amazing. I almost said she survived 3 years. That sounded like I murdered my wife. She's good. And then I'm about to have my second kid in a couple weeks. So yeah. So I'm another little bit. So there's just a lot of transition happening in my life, and I'm just kind of shifting into a new phase. I've done some thinking. Come June, I'll have worked in a church, whether it was as an intern, being a full-time intern, or a resident or a pastor, or it would be 10 years in June. And I'd be coming up on my 8th year here at the Rock in June as well. So it's this crazy time in my life, and I've been really trying to figure out, okay, what's this look like? What's this operation look like? What's this next phase of my life look like? And my goal is to be the best version of myself that I can be. And so as I've been wrestling through all these thoughts, I've just been doing a lot of research on manhood and what it looks like to be a great father and husband, and what this next season of life looks like for me. And with that, with the next season of life, one of the things that I stumbled upon was rites of passage. And I got really obsessed with these things. I just, out of curiosity, is anybody else like me where you just find something and you fixate on it for 2 weeks, and you just learn everything you can about that thing for 2 weeks, and then I don't care about it anymore? Yeah, that's me. So right now I'm in the middle of an obsession with rites of passage, and I looked up some different cultures' rites of passage and some different things that they've been doing, whether it was something in the past or something that's currently going on. And I found some really, really interesting ones I want to share with you guys. So the Satir Mawe people of the Amazon perform an initiation ritual forcing young men to place their hands into mittens filled with hundreds of bullet ants. And the bite is approximately 20 times more painful than being stung by a wasp. So they stick their hands in this midst with hundreds of these ants in it. And as a sign of their manhood, as them achieving manhood, they have to keep their hands in the mittens for 10 minutes. Crazy, right? And they end up getting bit a ton, obviously. They start hallucinating and all this stuff, and they basically just go numb. It's this crazy ritual, and they somehow survive it. They move past it, and all of a sudden their life is in a good spot, right? And they have this rite of passage. Then the Spartans, what they would do back in the day would be they would kind of send their young boys off about 7 years old, and they would go and have them train and go to this kind of specialty school, and they'd spend a lot of time there. And then at 18 years old, what they would do is have them do this little challenge to see how many slaves they could kill, which it's bad because killing people is bad and slavery is bad, right? It's a lot of bad right there, right? But they do this, and they see how many people they can kill before they get caught. And then from there, they go into this military academy until the age of 30. And once they surpass all of that at the age of 30, they're officially recognized as people of the Spartan society. It was just a crazy culture back then. And then this one I thought was fascinating. The men of the Pentecost Island in Vanuatu climb a rickety 98-foot-tall tower, tie vines to their ankles, and dive to the ground. They fall at speeds reaching up to 45 miles per hour. And when a dive goes correctly, the person gets close enough to touch his shoulders or his head to the earth. However, if a dive goes incorrectly, things can get messy. I like when I copied and pasted this, like, yeah, it's going to get messy if you jump off 98 feet and the vines don't work right. So, like, unlike bungee jumping, these vines, they're not elastic, and if they miscalculate how much rope they need, they're dead. And after reading those three, I kind of realized, like, sometimes how the American Christian culture, man, can be a little soft sometimes, right? Like, there's these crazy rites of passage that people went through for years and centuries and centuries and centuries, and now it's like my rite of passage is when I'm able to get an Instagram account for the first time, right? Like it's just this crazy switch of culture, right? But it made me think, like, on a very serious level, like, okay, what are some rites of passages that we have? And the first one that instantly popped into my head was this idea of baptism. And to be honest, this idea of baptism, while it's great as a rite of passage, the problem with baptism is that there's been a lot of convoluted teaching on it. There's been a lot of techniques given about baptism and how you should do it and when you should do it. And there's a lot of different understandings on baptism and when you may have grown up and like the kind of church you grew up in. And there's so much information and discourse on the technique and the reason why and when you should get baptized. It can often be really confusing to someone that's going like, what in the world am I supposed to do here? And here's the summary I have for tonight. Like, it's this crazy idea, okay? Like, it's going to blow your mind. Okay, here we go. We're just going to throw it on the screen. If Jesus did it, you should do it. Okay, like, it's that simple, right? Like, if you just look at the life of Jesus, if he did something, we should do it. And Jesus, in the book of Matthew, we read that he gets baptized. And you might be asking, okay, Clay, why did Jesus get baptized? Well, as I read this scripture to myself and did some study on that, I came across three reasons why baptism is important, but also three reasons why Jesus would choose to get baptized. And the first reason is that baptism has meaning. I just broke that. Well, I'm sorry, I broke your iPad stand. That's live, baby. That's live. All right, so I'm just going to carry it around like this the rest of it. Well, I might have to come fix this. It's just broken. I just broke it. We're good. We're good.
It'll come out of the district budget.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, this is district, baby. This is your budget. All right. Matthew 3:13. Baptism has meaning. Then Jesus went from Galilee to the Jordan River to be baptized by John. So here we see Jesus is in Galilee. He's going to the Jordan River. He's getting baptized by John. And what I want to do is I want to just give you a quick, like, super fast history lesson on the idea of baptism. So I'm going to read some stuff that I read today just to keep us on the same page. So it says this. Christian theologians suggest that although baptism was used by John the Baptist, baptism itself did not originate with early Christians, or for that matter, with John. Jews practiced baptism as a traditional act of purification and the initiation of converts to Judaism long before the coming Messiah. So, as we see, baptism has been around for a very long time. This is what it says about the origins of baptism. It says, they might be found in the book of Leviticus, where the Levite priests were commanded to perform a symbolic cleansing in water before and after performing their priestly duties. So we see that baptism has been around for a long time, but the question would be, why is John baptizing? John the Baptist, this guy who's going around preaching, what was his purpose in baptizing? Well, going back to the studies here. It says, being baptized by John demonstrated a recognition of one's sin, a desire for spiritual cleansing, and a commitment to follow God's law in anticipation of the Messiah's arrival. And when you read that, it's pretty self-explanatory. You're saying, okay, I'm turning my life around, I'm changing my life. I want to do this as a sign that I have done that. But where it gets a little weird is it says, in anticipation of the Messiah's arrival. Well, if you know the background of this biblical story that we're reading, Jesus himself is the Messiah. So why would he be getting baptized if he's the one that we're waiting for inside the context of this story? Well, you're not the only one asking this question. Verse 14, it says this. It says, but John tried to talk him out of it. John's like, you are the Messiah. You don't need to get baptized. Like, you're good, man. He says, I'm the one who needs to be baptized by you. So why are you coming to me? Which leads us into this first point of really this idea of baptism and the meaning behind it. And I'm going to share a little bit of what I believe and also what the Rock teaches on baptism. I mean, I could go into a very long discourse on this and go really, really deep. I'm just going to do a quick little summary of it. Because so many people are trying to figure out baptism. Depending on what kind of denomination they grew up in, if they went to church, there's so many different ways you could be baptized. If you didn't grow up in church at all, and you're here and you're like, what the crap is Clay talking about baptism? Well, it's water and you're in water, okay? Like, I'll explain some symbolic natures of it in just a little bit, but like it could be a very confusing thing for people.